there are myths about soy. Been going on for some time, and one is how it's bad for you. You shouldn't have soy if you have breast cancer. Men shouldn't have soy, and oh, it affects hormones and things like that. So can you touch on that?
Sure. It's funny. It's funny that this has even become a question, because if one just looks around the planet that we live on, and they they've been around. Let's say you've been around at least 15 years. You probably heard that the Japanese live longer than other people. Okay, that's just something you know. The Japanese live longer. And if you ever go into a Japanese restaurant, you'd see that they have soy in almost everything. They have tofu, soy, miso, tempeh. They have a lot of soy in everything. And in fact, they eat it 3 times a day, at least. But they're the longest lived people. And it's bad for you. But that doesn't fit. How do I get that key in that? That's a round hole, peg in a square hole. It doesn't make sense. And until we introduced our diet, our Western diet of McDonald's and Burger King and KFC, etc., Japanese women never got breast cancer. Never. Men never got prostate cancer. It never happened. So just based on that epidemiological data, just looking around the planet and seeing what exists, one has to say that whatever they're saying about soy cannot be true, because it just doesn't happen to fit with observation. So let's find out why it's not true, because now we know it's not true. And if you don't know it's not true, Google Japanese longevity, then Google incidence of breast cancer in Japanese women from 1940 to today, and then Google Japanese diets from 1940 to today. Anyway, you'll put it together and you'll say, oh, okay. So it turns out, and yes, it does have effect on hormones. It does. What are the effects on hormones? Well, soy is has what are called phytoestrogens. Phyto just means plant estrogens. It's a plant estrogen. Okay. In fact, we use phytohormones in biologically identical hormone therapy. So yams and other things we use, we can get sterols. They're called plant sterols. Anyway, so now there are different kinds of estrogens. So in the human body, there's estrone, estradiol, and estriol. There's 3 estrogens. Estrone and estradiol bind to all cells that have estrogen receptors have alpha and beta receptors. The beta receptor is what estrone and estradiol bind to. Alpha is what they bind. The beta receptor is what estriol binds to. Now, estriol is also the estrogen that predominates during pregnancy. And the reason it does is because during pregnancy, the woman's immune system is turned down a bit so she won't reject the fetus, because the fetus is half foreign, half the father, so it's half the DNA. So otherwise, during pregnancy, the woman's immune system is turned down, but it still needs estrogen to run the show, and so it's estriol. That's what God came up with. So it comes from good authority. So that's estriol. Now, interesting is that estriol binds to the beta receptor. Now, when you bind to the beta receptor, the beta estrogen receptor, what happens? It shrinks tumors, shrinks angiogenesis, turns off that whole process. But the estriol is also big enough to block the alpha receptor. So now, if there's any estradiol around, it still can't get to the alpha receptor. So not only you get benefits of stimulating the beta, but you also block the alpha. So you block the bad effects of estradiol or estrone. So in that way, it's kind of like tamoxifen. It's a blocking agent, except there's no side effects such as uterine cancer that you get from tamoxifen. That's estriol. Well, it turns out that soy is the same thing. Soy is phytoestrogen. It binds to the beta receptor, so you get the same benefit from soy that you get from estriol. Okay, so this is why we don't see. That's why the Japanese who eat soy 3 times a day did not have a higher incidence of any of the female cancers, male cancers, or anything. In fact, they lived longer from all kinds of from all causes of mortality. They lived longer. So, but the data's there if you want to look at it. I even wrote an article. Everyone that comes here to our center in Arizona, Oasis of Healing, especially women with these concerns, almost everyone asks this. That's why it's a really important topic to bring up. And we use miso, natto. Natto is a wonderful fermented soy product. Edamame, soy. Tofu, soy. These are good, not bad. Okay? What happened in America is, in America we have this mentality that if a little bit is good, a lot is better. So we do too much of everything. So we have soy bread, soy cheese, soy milk. Soon we're coming up with soy water. I'm sure we have soy underwear somewhere. We're going to do soy, right? So why do we have problems with it? It's not the soy, because if we look at the indigenous cultures that have used soy in their cultures for eons, and they're living long, let's see, how did they use it? They used it usually fermented, but not always. So tofu's not fermented. Miso is. But anyway, the only reason you ferment soy is because if you eat a lot of it, it'll give you GI upset, gastrointestinal upset. Okay, but it's still very protective and good. So please erase that myth. Please put that into your myth department, because it's not a truth. Take it out of the true department into the myth department.
And organic.
Right, organic
and
GMO.
Thing. Yeah. They think they can't find any that are not,
GMO.
Right.
You can. You can find it non-GMO. Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a big movement. A lot of people on the planet now know that GMO and non-organic is deadly. So believe me, there's money to be made in organic. So that's the good thing about it. That's the good thing about greed and capitalism, is that if we can get only the good stuff to be desired, we're going to get it. And that's what's happened. That's where we are now.